Welcome back to the show, Coast to Coast Sports. It is the Week 1 NFL tier list. This week, it is my turn to make the tiers. We'll probably do what we did last year. We'll alternate weeks. Drew and I ready to go.
Here
Week
we go,
1,
locked in.
tier 8. Yeah, these teams, this season's already over. When's the draft? I mean, come on. I feel bad for these teams, especially for the Panthers, who just took Bryce Young, number one overall, like what, a year and a half ago.
That's
But
like a mistake.
it's over for these teams. They have like a 1% chance of making the playoffs, and it's week 1. I mean, it's over already. The Titans too just drafted Will Levis, but perhaps even worse, at least they're not paying their quarterback $36 million to be the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, Levi, for a second there, I only saw the Giants and the Titans on your screen. I said, wow, the Panthers are already, they don't even get a spot on the list. But then the Panthers got there. The Panthers got there.
Yeah.
I did place a bet on the Panthers. I thought they would have a chance against the Saints. Saints actually look really good. So I'm very surprised by the Saints and interested to see where you have them. Giants, I mean, week 1, and your fans are waiting outside the building to boo you. That kind of says the state of that franchise. And then you got the Titans. The Titans are the Titans. They blew that one. They should have won. Will Levis was on his hands and knees looking up to God saying, "What did I do to deserve this?" That was one of the funniest pick sixes I've ever seen in my entire
Yeah.
life. Tony Pollard, though, one of kind of an underrated, really good performer from week 1. So good to see him perform.
Yeah, good to see him perform. Man, just go back to the Giants. Daniel Jones, 7 games since he signed that extension, he has thrown 5 touchdown passes. That would be bad as it is, Drew. But it's what makes it even worse is that 3 of those touchdown passes are for the opponents. So he's thrown 2 touchdowns to his team, and
Yeah.
he's thrown 3 pick sixes in a 7 game stretch since signing his extension. He's been so bad. I mean, that's unbelievably bad.
Yeah, that's awful. To be fair, the Giants don't got much else to really help him out, but
No,
regardless, this guy should not be an NFL quarterback, let alone a quarterback that's making 30 plus million dollars.
it's
Let's get to
crazy.
the next team. Let's get to the next team.
Tier 7, they'll win some games. I think these teams
What
will win
the
some
heck?
games, but I don't think any of these teams look
Some
great. The Patriots,
anti-homer bias. What is
yeah, the Patriots, Raiders in the AFC, and then Seattle and Arizona battling for third place in the NFC West. I think these teams can win probably 5 or 6 games. But I don't I
five or
don't view any of
six?
them as legit contenders.
I don't see the Broncos yet.
No, you don't.
The Seahawks just beat the Broncos handily.
Yeah, that's true.
What is so then? So tell me your reasoning
I'll
that you
tell
have
you what,
the
the the
ranked
Broncos the
27 and
Broncos have
the
what I
Seahawks on the
call
page.
the Broncos have a little bit of grace because Bo Nix was making his
Grace.
first start. And
Oh,
I like the
Mike McDonald
Broncos
has his first
long
coaching
term. I
job.
like them more right now.
No, you don't. You're just trying to be like the Mr. Stephen A. Smith hot take guy over here. No way.
Okay.
Also, the Cardinals just went toe to toe with the Bills. And now all of a sudden they're the 26th best team in the NFL. Levi, I don't know if you watched the game last week. Kyler Murray looked like the better quarterback
Yeah.
for 3 quarters.
Yeah, but in the
They
end,
got the
their
first
defense is
guy,
still
Modular
bad.
Lamar, didn't even catch the. They played the Bills.
Yeah. Well, I need to see some
A
more. The
really good
Cardinals and
offense.
Seahawks could both climb, but it's very early. And I need to see
I
more
agree
from
with the
both of
Pats
them.
and Raiders.
Yeah.
I agree with the Pats and Raiders. That
I
is
thought I would have the Pats in
prop.
tier 8, to be honest, but good for New England winning a game. Let's move on. Tier 6, they'll
Jeez,
be in the mix.
there's two. Where are the Broncos? What is this? The Broncos are not a top 20 team. Did you? Oh my God. Let's talk about the 5 teams here.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
The Vikings aren't
Minnesota,
better than the Seahawks.
a lot of teams that won in this tier actually. All 4 of these teams won. 3 of them blew out their opponents. But I still don't
Very
really believe
convenient
in
of you,
them.
Levi, to include the green boxes on this slide and not the last slide where the Patriots and the Seahawks should have deserved that green box.
The green box, I don't. The green box was a mistake.
Okay, I'm sure. I'm sure it was.
But yeah. So again, like I think the Saints, Bucks, Vikings, Dolphins, I think they'll be in the mix. I don't think any of these teams win playoff games though, or make the playoffs. And
The
Commanders,
Dolphins? I didn't even see that. What? Sorry, I'm really not trying to get this video off the rails here. I'm
the
just
Dolphins looked
so
bad, Drew. They looked. I
Levi.
mean, for
Oh
three
my
quarters of that game, the Dolphins were uncompetitive.
Levi, I have done a lot of these videos with you. Too many to count. The number is definitely triple digits,
Oh yeah.
and I don't think I've ever disagreed with you more through 3 slides that I have right now. The Dolphins are my AFC. They're going to the AFC Championship. In my
Wow.
it was
Wow.
the
That's bold
video.
because they haven't won a playoff game with Tua yet.
Yeah, well, they're better than the Commanders. That is ridiculous. That is crazy. They're better than the Broncos, Levi. The Broncos play the Broncos play the Dolphins right now. The Dolphins are immediately 2 touchdown favorites. Immediately. You cannot tell me that Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, all of those guys over there are worse than Bo Nix, who
All
just
I'm gonna
threw.
say is the Dolphins got outplayed by a Jags team that I also don't think is all that great, and
The
they only won. I mean,
Jags
the
are a good
Dolphins
team.
won that game because Travis Etienne fumbled the ball in the end zone.
Okay. Way to go, defense. There we go. Pick up the
Well,
boys.
he fumbled. That was not the defense. He fumbled the ball in the end zone.
All right. The
What
other
about a
five
touchdown?
teams, Sam Darnold, I like. On the Saints side, good for the Saints. So they blow out a bad team. That's what they should have done. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had a big win against the Commanders. Confusing why you have them behind the Commanders when they clearly just showed you they're better than the Commanders. Apparently, again, oh my God, this again. I forgot about this. How much it's our fundamental ideologies of what we think a tier list is. You have always been the guy to you're like the stock market. You're guessing these teams on what they're gonna be at the end of the year when that isn't what the power rankings are for. The power rankings are for what the current NFL teams are doing currently.
One could say that. One could say that, but
Or
the
what's
way
the
I
point of
view
the
a
power
power
ranking?
ranking,
The Chiefs and the 49ers are always going to be 1 and 2. The Chiefs could go 0 and 6, and I'd still have them as the second best team.
well, that's it's week one. I'm trying not to overreact to week one.
All
That
right.
that that's what
All
this
right.
is.
And then the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, I didn't think looked great. He was okay.
Yeah, I think he'll get better. I think honestly though, I still think he looked like the best of all the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, he did. He did. Didn't throw a pick. It was 17 for 24, buck 80. Not bad.
Yeah. All right. Next up, tier 5. Worrisome QBs. Look, I like most of these teams, including Denver. I think Denver has a good coach and a really good defense. I was impressed by their defense, but I'm worried by all 5 of their quarterbacks. I'm worried by Bo Nix. I'm worried with Deshaun Watson. I don't know what Deshaun Watson's doing. I'm worried about Jordan Love's health. Um, I'm worried about Trevor Lawrence because, again, I mean, he made one good throw and then kind of just disappeared the second half. And Drew, this really pains me because I've always been a big Kirk Cousins guy, but I'm worried about Kirk Cousins with Atlanta. I still think they're the better team in that division. It's week one, so I'm gonna stand by my pick of the Falcons to win that division over Tampa. But last week, Baker Mayfield looked like 4 times the quarterback that Kirk Cousins did. So if that's how this season's going to go, then very quickly the Bucks are going to build a lead, and the Falcons aren't going to be able to overcome that. So I'm worried about all these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'll work backwards here, Levi. I'll piggyback off you. I'm worried about Kirk Cousins. This was the first time I've watched Kirk Cousins, and he looked kind of old. He looked
Rusty.
slow. He looked like he didn't know where his first reads were. Kirk Cousins has always been that guy that's had a little swag to him. He's been able to be kind of crafty nimble in the pocket, been able to always make the right reads, not make a lot of mistakes, and that's how he's made his money in the NFL. That all did not happen with the Falcons. I would be concerned if I was a Falcon fan, and if I'm Michael Penix, I would, kind of clean off the jersey, get the dust off, get ready to go just in case, because his day could be coming sooner than we all think. I'm not saying it's time to call for Penix on week 2, but week 6 rolls around and he's still looking like this. I think you got to think maybe it's Kirk Cousins' time. Then we jump back to the Broncos. That is freaking ridiculous. The Broncos are a bottom 5 team in the NFL. There's no way the Broncos are a top 20 team with the Bo Nix I just watched. There's absolutely no chance. There's no chance. Bo Nix isn't a good quarterback. 26 for 42, 138, 2 interceptions, no vertical passing game whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you
The
that.
leading rusher for the Broncos was Bo Nix with 35 yards. And you're saying this team is a top 20 team in the NFL? I'll give you a chance to defend yourself.
I'm telling you what, I think they have a good defense. I think they have a good head coach, and I think Bo Nix will get better. I think he will
Seahawks put
improve.
up 26.
20, yeah, the Seahawks put up 26, but that
And
was
you think
mostly
our
because
offense
they
is
couldn't
bad.
move
You
the
think
ball
our
at
offense
all.
is bad.
I mean, it was a game that it was a very sloppy game that involved a lot of punts, safeties. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I
I
don't think
mean,
it's really fair to judge either team by that game, to be honest, because it was just an all over the place game.
all right, moving on to Deshaun Watson. Thank goodness that guy's struggling. Not a big fan of Deshaun Watson. However, I am a fan of the Browns. I like Stefanski. I like a lot of their personnel. It's unfortunate that the Browns are where they are
Yeah.
and that they've sunk so much money and, time draft picks into this team with Deshaun Watson and all them. But I think the Browns are going to have to face the reality that it might be time to rebuild sooner than they like. The Packers, this seems really, really low. The Packers were a top 10 team for most people going to the year. And although I wasn't as high on the Packers, I do think that the Packers deserve better than this. They're better than the Falcons right now. I know that. They just went toe to toe with the Eagles.
Yeah, I would say I think with Jordan Love healthy, they're definitely better than the Falcons. But we're hearing Malik Willis could start the next 4 games, and if that's the case, they might lose the next 4 games, and that
True,
would
believe it
really
doesn't
put a hamper
matter
on their season.
because the end of the year is
Right.
all about
Well,
the
but what I'm saying, Drew, is if they lose the next 4 games at the end of the year is not going to matter because they're not going to be a playoff team no matter what. Tier 4. Defense, defense,
Yeah.
defense. Yeah. We're missing. No. Go back. Oh
Oh,
my
whoa,
god.
whoa, whoa. See,
Yeah. These two teams, man. Look, the quarterback play was not good. I mean, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. I think Caleb will get better. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to start for them long term. Personally still think it should be Russ, but if you have a good enough defense, you can overcome it. Defense, man. I don't know what to tell you. The Steelers were basically in this tier all of the past 3 seasons. I mean, this is where they've stayed.
yeah. I think the times of defense wins championships are long gone, but I do think defense can win games
Yeah.
in the NFL and consistently win games as the Mariners throw the ball over to first and they win the ball game. Mariner postgame show coming to you after this if you're an M's fan. But going back to defense, Steelers, Bears are going to be riding that defense all year long. I don't think that Caleb Williams will be a great quarterback. This year, he didn't look great in this game. I think it was he threw for under 100 yards. Is that
Yeah, I mean,
correct?
like 93.
Yeah. So, am I concerned about Caleb Williams? No. Do I think he still needs some time to adjust to the NFL? Yes. And then on the Steelers side, I do think Russell Wilson should still be the starting quarterback. I think Justin Fields can go in there and potentially win you a ball game. He showed that this time. But I think Justin Fields, his ceiling might be slightly higher than Russ's, but I think his floor is much lower.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I mean, if the Steelers had a real quarterback, not that Russ and Justin, what's crazy is I think both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are better than all 3 of their quarterbacks last year. And I still think that they need to upgrade because they upgraded from Trubisky slash Pickett slash
Well, here's
Mason
the thing.
Rudolph, but it's still not great.
Here's the thing. I mean, both those guys, in my mind, are top 32 quarterback in the
Yeah,
NFL,
I agree.
but that doesn't mean they shouldn't upgrade because
Yeah,
we all know, Levi, quarterbacks 20 through 32, maybe even 16 through 32, your chances of winning
they're
a
not
Super Bowl,
moving the needle.
yeah, are all but none.
Yeah.
So I agree.
All right, tier three, flashes of brilliance. I think all five of these teams showed me flashes, but I'm not all in yet on any of them. Baltimore and the Colts, they lost. So did the Rams, but they all looked good losing. The Bills won. I don't know what to make of it because they offensively looked good, but defensively they looked not great. But maybe the Cardinals are better than I give them credit for. I don't know. And the Chargers, they won kind of a slow start. I mean, they got off to a very slow start against the Raiders. They were down at half, but they came back and won that game. So yeah, flashes of brilliance. I think these teams can all make the playoffs, but
Yeah, these
not
teams all can
super,
make the playoffs.
not Super Bowl yet. Not ready to go there.
I think Colts is too high. I do think Anthony Richardson looks like maybe the steal of last year's draft, if he can stay healthy, that is. He looked really good, went toe to toe with CJ Stroud. You say you're not overreacting to week one, though. I think that's a slight overreaction, in my opinion. We go down to the Chargers. They looked good. I think Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert are going to win a lot of football games. Do I think they're going to ever be that elite team? Maybe, but I don't think the time is right now. The Bills, I mean, they almost just lost to the Cardinals, who had a chance to go on a game-winning drive. I mean, they did. They went on the game-winning drive, and it came up short. For that, for them to be this high, and the Cardinals were on your first slide or your second slide. I don't know about all that. I think Rams are appropriate. 9, that seems about right to me. Going back to the Ravens, I mean, look, if Isaiah Likely's shoe size was a 12 instead of a 13, they're going for 2 to win the game against potentially the best team in the NFL. So I don't know how you have them at 13, Levi. Do I think that they're a top 6, 18? Probably not, but they're top 10 in my eyes, easy.
Yeah, for me, the thing with the Ravens is I think that I've never loved their weapons, and I was not very impressed. I think Zay Flowers was a non-factor. Mark Andrews, they took him away. Derrick Henry didn't play all that well. And then defensively, I think they'll get better as the season goes on, but I don't think that right now they're at the same level as last year without Mike McDonald. I think their defense has taken a bit of a step back. I mean, remember they held Kansas City to 17 in the playoffs, and Kansas City scored 27, looked a lot better. They moved the ball way better. I
I think
thought,
that Kansas City's offense is better than last year, which is
yeah,
scary for NFL teams to
it's
kind of
true.
come to grips with. But Lamar Jackson,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
want to
I
give him
love
his
Lamar,
flowers.
but I
I
think
want
I
to give him
think
his
the Ravens
flowers.
is more and more looks like the Lamar show,
Yeah,
similar to how the Bills more and more looks like the Josh Allen show.
he was 5 yards short of 400, excuse me,
Yeah,
400 all-purpose
he had a
yards.
great game. I'm not taking away from
We're
that.
a few years into the NFL here. People keep saying, just wait for Lamar Jackson. He's going to age like milk. Just wait for his injuries. Just wait for this. Just wait for that. He's been injured here and there, but he's always been able to come back. And he's proven that by leaps and bounds, in my opinion, that he is the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL. Levi, I don't think I've seen anything like it. Not Michael Vick, not Russell Wilson, not Kyler Murray. Lamar Jackson is different. He was making some
Yeah,
moves, Chiefs, that I've never seen, some crazy spin moves. He would always get down right before taking that big hit. And he also can spin a football. 26 for 41, 273 and a tutty against the Chiefs, who have one of the best defenses in the NFL, a defense they just rode to the Super Bowl. I want to give Lamar Jackson his flowers. I think this team can be
okay.
really good.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think these are all playoff teams. And yeah, no, I agree. Lamar's great. And I think you're right. Lamar and Josh Allen both, I think they're going to last longer than some of the other running quarterbacks. I think Russell Wilson just didn't have the frame. I think RG3 didn't have the frame.
Russ
Um,
lasted for a while, but yes, I
but I
agree.
think, I mean, yeah, Russ lasted for a while, but I think Lamar and Josh Allen will still be playing like this 8 to 10 years from now, which obviously Russ didn't sustain it. And then, yeah, with the Colts, you're right. This was my biggest. They jumped 3 spots. They jumped from 15 to 12. They're the only team that moved that high this week. So I did like what I saw a lot. I think Anthony Richardson, he needs to polish himself up though, because he had about 3 plays, which was like, wow, like jaw droppers. He had that throw
Yes,
to
that
Alec Pierce, and the
yeah.
throw to Ashton Dulin was crazy. And then his 30-yard touchdown run. So he had a couple of plays where it was like, whoa, like but also, he also went 9 for 19, 200 yards. So if he can polish his game, I think the Colts will be super dangerous because I really like the Colts. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Tier 2. It's early, and I say this about 2 of these teams. I say this in a good way, and one of these teams in a bad way. For the Jets and Bengals,
Oh
you're
my
shaking
goodness.
your head. It's
The
too early to
Jets
count
and
out the Jets and the Bengals. Drew, it's week 1. Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow are 2 quarterbacks who are known to struggle in week 1 because for Burrow, he's never healthy. And for Rodgers, everybody knows this. He takes the offseason lightly. So Rodgers he hasn't had a good week 1 since like
I
2018.
know that's true, but he looked old
He looked old.
for the
I
first time.
agree. But
Old.
I think he is going to improve as the season goes on. And for the Cowboys, it's early because look, every single year in week 1, the proclamation is that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Week 1, they're the Super Bowl favorites. They dropped 37 on Cleveland, and oh my gosh, look at the Cowboys. The Go Cowboys go. It's way too early to coronate the Cowboys because we've done this for about 5 years now. And every year we coronate the Cowboys. Oh, this is their year. This is their year.
Wow. What a
And
word.
and not this. No, it's never their year. So they're a good team. They're going to be in the playoffs, but they're about the 7th, 8th best team in football right now.
Yeah, Levi, no complaints with Cowboys at 7. Coordinate the Cowboys. Was that just out of the
Yeah.
right out of the bag there? I mean, that was nice vocab by my
Yeah.
co-host. But the Jets and the Bengals, I do think the Bengals are going to be a good football team. I think the Patriots defense is really good. I think that
Yeah.
that Bill Belichick mindset and that defense is still there. The offense I'm concerned about, but they put up 16 against the Bengals. The Jets at 8. It's a little high for me. I just don't think
I like
that
the Jets this year. I
their
think
but their quote unquote strength is their defense. And their
the
run defense
49ers are
just
really good.
allowed the backup running back to go for over 100 yards.
Yeah, 2 things there. So first off, I do think that their defense had a bad night. I'm not going to say they didn't, but also A, it's the Niners. Their offense is great. B, Shanahan used to coach with Robert Saleh, and you could say Saleh has to know how to beat Shanahan, but at the same time, Shanahan definitely knows exactly what to do to beat Saleh. I mean, they were in those meetings together. And B, though, the
This game
Jets,
wasn't close though, Levi. It was 32-12. That
right?
was the
But
score of the
I
game,
want to give them some
not
credit here.
38-19. They scored 6, excuse me, at the very
Right.
tail end
Yeah.
of this one.
And it was
When
Tyrod
Rodgers
Taylor, and yeah.
when Rodgers goes to the bench, like this is not a competitive game. The
No,
49ers
it wasn't
played
competitive.
fast.
But the defense, to their credit, 8 times the Niners moved the ball downfield or past the 50, 8 times. Only came away with 2 touchdowns, 6 field goals. They held them to 6 field goals. So I think their defense will look a lot better when they play against some worse teams. I think the Jets have some very winnable games coming up. They play the Broncos coming up. They play the Patriots. They're going to win some games
But if
against some
anything,
inferior opponents. And we're going to be looking at this thing once they get going, all of a sudden, when they have momentum, I think they will be much more competitive also against the good teams.
the 6 field goals should show you why the 49ers should have won by more. This could have been 60-12.
Well, no, that was because the offense was bad. The offense just couldn't move the ball, and they gave the 49ers. The Niners controlled the possession. You're right. The Niners dominated them in every aspect of that game.
It
But
was
I'm
the
saying
lowest, the least time of possession that Rodgers has had in his entire
whole career, right? Yeah.
whole career.
And I
Not
think that might
his
be his
first
worst
year
game of the
with the
season.
Packers.
I think
Okay.
that game right there might be his
Um,
worst of the season.
Well, if you're a New York Jets fan, you better hope so, because if not, you're going to be in a world of trouble.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I'll tell you what, if they come out next week and lose to Denver, they will not be anywhere near the second tier on
I
my
mean,
tier.
Denver's top 20, so
Yeah, well.
they're not bad. Do they play Denver though, Levi?
Yeah, I believe they. No, they don't. They play Denver in 2 weeks. Sorry, they play.
Play
Who do
the
they play next week?
Titans.
If they lose to the Titans, they're cooked.
Yeah, I agree. Well, they have a couple of cakewalks, so they need to win these next two games. Patriots and yeah, Patriots Titans are the next, or Titans Patriots, and then Broncos. So
Okay,
these next
then Broncos.
three
Yeah.
win. These next
So
three should be.
they should win their next three, and then
And
once they're 3-1,
if they don't, you drop them out of their top
yeah,
10.
no, if they
Agreement?
don't, then I will start to drop
Okay.
them.
All
Yeah,
right. Out of your top 10.
out of my
If they-
top 10 next. If they lose next week, they're
no,
out
no,
of the
no. If
top
they
10.
lose any of the next three games out of your top 10.
Sure, I'll go with that.
Okay. Good agreement. Let's go
Good
top five.
agreement. All right, top number one tier. It's crowded at the top, dude. It's crowded. I don't know. I honestly don't. I like all five of these teams. My Super Bowl.
Hi,
We
Levi.
talked about this. My Super Bowl Lions Texans. So I'm sticking
What are
with
you
that.
doing? Texans at 1?
I've got to stay. I'm gonna stand by my Super Bowl pick. I picked the Lions and the Texans, so I'm going Texans 1, Chiefs at 2. I still think the Chiefs would, if both of those teams, I think beat Detroit in the Super Bowl. But I like the Texans so much.
Levi, I don't know. Can you see me? Can you see my screen right now?
I can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I was about 8 feet away from my microphone
Yeah,
because
I
of
saw.
what you just said. That was ridiculous.
I have to honor my takes. I have to honor my takes.
At first, I was going to complain about how the Niners aren't top 2. Then I just keep looking and I go, okay, well, at least the Chiefs are. What? The Chiefs aren't 1, they're number 2? What is this? The Texans are not better than the Kansas City Chiefs. You're out of your damn mind.
We'll find out when they play, and they
There's
play
no
in a little
way.
bit.
There's no way. The Texans barely scraped by the Colts.
I like the
The
Colts.
Chiefs just beat the Ravens. Well, you shouldn't like the Colts as much as you do, Levi. This is ridiculous. The Chiefs play the Texans. They're going to be 6-point favorites, and they deserve to be 6-point favorites.
Yeah,
The Lions are better.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to bet on the
49ers are
Texans
better.
to win.
The Chiefs are better. There's a few other teams I think are also better than the Texans, who are a good team, but you're making me talk bad about the Texans because you put them first.
Right.
You gave me no choice. CJ Stroud's a great quarterback. Joe Mixon, I thought he looked dynamic. Nico Cole, Tank Dell, what else? Stephon Diggs. I mean, the list goes on. They're not the best team in the NFL. There's no way. Their defense has too many problems. You gave up 27 points to the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts. They are not a good enough football team to justify 27 points given up.
We'll see.
Anthony Richardson, like you said, 9 for 19. 9 for 19.
Yeah,
I mean, any good quarterback, this game, they lose. And Anthony Richardson isn't a good quarterback right now. He's a quarterback with a lot of talent.
Well, I disagree with that.
Huge distinction.
I said Anthony needs to get polished, but I think he's a good quarterback. And I think I like the Texans a lot. I think they have better.
I like the Lions at 3. I think that's where the Lions.
Okay. So you would move Chiefs to 1, Niners 2, Lions 3.
And I don't think I'd have the Eagles that high, but then again, I think there's a lot of like upper mid-tier teams, if that makes sense. I think the Eagles are probably at the top of that. But
my biggest concern with Philadelphia is that they didn't look like they could do the tush push. And I think that's going to come into play. Because without Jason Kelce, actually, I mean, last year, that was an automatic 2 yards.
That's true.
If they can't do that this year, that's a big problem. Jason Kelce's over here making big money with ESPN and living the life. But, when I see that.
They should get Jason Kelce from, what he's doing, halftime or whatever.
Yeah.
They should bring him down from halftime, hire him for just the fourth quarter, and put him in for the tush push. Then he can go back for the post-game show. But just tush push specialist. In fact, how about we just go to the Olympics? They should have just gone to the Olympics, grabbed the whoever the gold medalist was for the power lifters, put him in at center for the 5 plays a game you need a tush push, and there you go.
Yeah.
I think I should be an NFL GM. I would pay a couple $1 million for that rather than a 53rd guy on the roster who is the backup punt returner or the long snapper. Give me a 500-pound guy that can deadlift 2 mountains. and just push your way to victory. How
Yeah,
about that?
that's a good take. Because I think the Eagles, I think they're a good team. Last year, remember for the first 3 months of the season, they were the best team in the league, and then they inexplicably lost 5 of their last 6, and then lost to Tampa. But I think they're going to be good again this year.
Yeah.
I thought Jalen, for what it's worth, Jalen Hurts is doing the Josh Allen thing. He's like super, super talented, and also he can't protect the football. He needs to protect the football. He turned the ball over 3 times. If he could not turn the ball over, he'd be a top 5. He'd be a consensus top 5 quarterback in the league. Um,
Yeah.
and I still like the Eagles a lot. I think Saquon changes their offense in a really good way.
Yeah, Saquon's really good. Top 3 back in the league in my eyes. This overall, Levi, though, I don't want to distract the viewers from what this was an abysmal list. I don't know if they'll ever come back after this one.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
might just, thankfully for the audience, I'm making the next one. So you will see some changes. Levi, I'll give you credit. If in 5 weeks, if it looks like this is the trajectory that a lot of these teams are on, I'll give you your flowers. I'll do a standing no, but I don't see it. We'll have to see.
I'm gonna guess that as often I'm gonna be really, really right about a couple teams, and I'm gonna be really, really wrong about a couple teams. And we're
Well,
gonna find out in the next few weeks.
for your skin, I'd hope that the Texans are one of them.
The Texans better be, because last year I did
I mean,
this
it's
with the
gonna be one of
Jags.
them. Let's hope it's the good side for your.
I think they will.
Okay. Okay.
I'm more in on the Texans than I've ever been
Okay. All
on a up and coming young team. I think they're going to be
right.
great.
Okay.
All right. Well, does that wrap things up? Yeah. I mean, look,
That wraps it up.
it's week
That's it.
one. I'm
Yep.
trying to stick mostly to what I thought about these teams in the preseason. A little bit of up and down, but not a whole lot of movement. So really, what this is it's my preseason rankings with slight movement based off of Sunday's games. All right. There we go. That's week one power rankings. We'll catch you for week two.
A week
Drew's
to
turn
remember.
next week.
All right. Looking forward to it, Levi.
And where's the stop button?
Levi is
This is
currently.
Coast to Coast Sports,
There we
guys.
go.
We'll see you next week.